Hi, everybody. I just want to give a warm welcome to our in-person audience as well as our virtual audience watching from anywhere in the world. It's really lovely to see all of your faces and more of them as time goes on. My name is Nora Sachs. I'm a producer with WBUR Podcasts, and I've recently joined the Circle Round team, which has been such a delight. And we're really excited to have you all here for this sold-out Circle Round book party. We've been looking forward to this event for a very long time. So as you all know, we're here celebrating Circle Round's debut series of picture and activity books created in partnership with Story Publishing and based on 2 of our favorite podcast episodes. If you haven't already, please be sure to pick up your very own copy of the new Circle Round books, which are available via our partners at Brookline Booksmith. And Rebecca and Eric will be signing copies after the show, so stick around. You can also join me and my colleague Amory out in the lobby to get all of your Circle Round merchandise and pick up some free coloring pages, which are drawn right from the books you might be holding in your hands. There's also a selfie station. Who here has already gone to the selfie station? Excellent, excellent. Share your pics with us on social media. Please use the hashtag #CircleRoundBooks so we can collect everyone's beautiful pictures. Before we get this party started for real, I just want to say a very big thank you to everyone who helped make this event possible. That means our partners at Story Publishing, Brookline Booksmith, the team at WBUR, and of course, your amazing hosts, Rebecca Sheir and Eric Shimelonis. Let's give them a warm welcome and get them out here on the stage. All right, I'm going to turn it over to them.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Sheir, and welcome to Circle Round's Summer of Stories. As Nora mentioned, today you'll be hearing and seeing the first 2 books in our brand new picture book series from Story Publishing. They're both adapted from some of our favorite Circle Round episodes. Does anyone know what adapted means? What do you think adapted means? Inspired, I like that. That's a good synonym. Any other ideas of what adapted might mean? Yes, the stripes in the second row.
It means that it's not exactly the same as the original story.
Not exactly the same as the original story. Exactly. So these books are inspired by the episodes, but they're not exactly the same. So if you're familiar with A Taste of Honey and The Unwelcome Guest, just know this is going to be a little bit different. So that's what adaptation means. And today I'll be doing the reading, and accompanying me on some very cool instruments is my partner in podcasting and in life, Eric Shimelonis. Before we get started really quickly, I just want to give a very heartfelt shout out to 2 people who couldn't be here today because they live in Turkey and India, the illustrators of these books. Mert Tugan lives in Istanbul, and he did the eye-popping illustrations for the tale of The Unwelcome Guest. And for A Taste of Honey, Chaya Prabhat, the pictures just jump off the page with the colors. And you'll get to see all of them today with the books you take home and up on the screen. So now, without further ado, let's get to it. Our first book today is called The Tale of the Unwelcome Guest. The town beside the sea was abuzz with the news. The governor was holding a grand banquet, and everyone was invited. The artists and accountants, the librarians and lawyers, the taxi drivers and teachers, everyone. But no one was as excited as Nasruddin. Hooray! Woohoo! Yippee! The wise man owned a vineyard at the edge of town, and the governor would be serving Nasruddin's wine at the feast. The day of the big event, Nasruddin woke up extra early. He hopped out of bed, then dug deep into his closet and began rummaging around. All right, where are you? No, not that one. Not that one. Aha! There you are. Nasruddin pulled out a long red silk coat embroidered with clusters of bright purple grapes, his favorite piece of clothing. He only wore the coat on very special occasions. I'll come right home after work, change into my fine silk coat, then I'll head straight to the party. I can hardly wait for tonight. Nasruddin worked hard at his vineyard all day long. Do-da-do-da-do, dee-da-dee-da-dee, squish, squish, splish, splash. When he finally checked the time, he noticed that the governor's banquet was starting in 15 minutes. Oh no! I'll just have to go as I am. When Nasruddin arrived at the governor's mansion and headed toward the door, the guards scrunched up their faces. What a mess. He's covered in squished grapes. Not hearing a word the guards said, Nasruddin gave them a friendly wave and breezed inside. Everyone from the village was there, milling around the banquet hall dressed in their finest clothing and sipping Nasruddin's wine. But as Nasruddin greeted his friends and neighbors, "Hi! Hello! How are you? Hey there!" no one greeted him back. Not even the butlers carrying trays of food would come near him. Nasruddin's stomach rumbled, and his mouth watered as he watched the parade of meats, cheeses, breads, and spreads. When Nasruddin caught the governor's eye, the dignitary looked the wise man up and down with a frown, and she waved at someone across the room and hurried away. Well, that's weird. I thought at least the governor would talk to me. She is serving my wine, after all. The bell rang for dinner. A scowling butler ushered Nasruddin to a corner of the room, as far away as possible from the governor. Here, maybe these napkins will cover up those stains. Huh? Suddenly, Nasruddin understood what was going on. It was his clothing everyone had a problem with. Wait a minute. The governor has invited the entire town, rich and poor, to this party. But because of what I'm wearing, I'm an unwelcome guest. Now remember, Nasruddin was a very wise man, and that's when he had a very wise idea. Aha! I might be an unwelcome guest, but I'll go home and bring back a guest that everyone will most definitely welcome. Nasruddin returned to his house. He pumped extra bubbly soap into a steaming hot bath and scrubbed from his head to his toes. Rub-a-dub-dub! After that, he dusted himself with powder, pat, 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 and buttoned up his fancy shirt and pants. Finally, he slipped on his long red coat embroidered with clusters of bright purple grapes and hurried back to the governor's feast. You look marvelous! This time, when Nasruddin approached the guards at the mansion, they didn't scrunch up their faces. Instead, they beamed from ear to ear. Good evening, sir. Come in. It's an honor to have you. Come in. When Nasruddin entered the banquet hall, the same butler who had scoffed at him earlier came scurrying over with a grin. Good sir, might I escort you to the governor's table? As Nasruddin followed the butler, smiling guests waved and called out from all corners of the room. Nasruddin! How are you, friend? You look wonderful.
So glad you're here.
Ruff! When Nasruddin reached the governor's table, the dignitary leapt to her feet and gave the wise man a hug. Nasruddin! It's an honor to have you. Please sit next to me and eat all you want. Nasruddin had been too busy working all day to eat a bite, and now his stomach was as empty as a scooped-out pumpkin. But when a waiter brought over a plate of roasted peppers, Nasruddin didn't gobble them down. Do you know what he did instead? He plucked up the peppers, one by one, and stuffed them into the pockets of his coat. Peppers, these look so good. Here you go, coat. The next course arrived, a fragrant bowl of lentil soup. And can you guess what Nasruddin did? He dumped the soup into the pockets of his coat. I know how much you love soup, coat. Enjoy! Course after course, every delectable dish went straight into the pockets of Nasruddin's long red silk coat. Cucumber salad. Oh, coat, taste this. Zucchini fritters. Hey, coat, have a nibble. Lamb kebab. Bon appetit. The governor and guests stared in amazement. Why in the world was Nasruddin feeding all of these mouth-watering foods to his coat? At last, Nasruddin began to explain. My dear friends and neighbors, when I first arrived at this feast tonight, I was dressed in my work clothes, all smudged and stained from grapes, and you all treated me like I was nothing. So, I went home. I changed into this coat, and when I came back, I was greeted with warm smiles. The guests felt their faces burn with shame. The governor hung her head. What you say is true, Nasruddin. And on behalf of everyone, I am sorry. But we're still confused. Why feed your coat? Nasruddin threw his hands in the air. Well, I realized it wasn't me you wanted at this party. It was my coat. So what else could I do but feed all of your delicious foods to the coat? Because if I was the unwelcome guest at this party, then my coat must be the welcome one. And with that, the wise man sauntered out of the banquet hall, pieces of food trailing behind him. From then on, everyone in town thought twice before treating people based on their appearance. They remembered it's what's inside that matters most. Just as the wise man had hoped, Nasruddin's lesson proved to be some very precious and very scrumptious food for thought. Thank you. I have to say, I've only played a handful of characters in Circle Round episodes. Usually I just do the narration. Playing every single character in the story and doing the narration? Whoa, it's a trip. But that said, if you take these books home and read them out loud, and we do encourage you to read them out loud, please feel free to let loose and have fun with all the characters. Give them whatever voices you'd like. There are no rules, there are no limits. Just have fun. Before we get to our next book, does anyone know what instrument Eric Shimelonis was just playing? I forgot to ask before the story. Yes, in the second row. The lute. It is a type of lute. Do you know what type of lute from the Middle East? Close. Any other guesses? Yes, right over there. What was that? The oud. You've got it. That was the oud. So that was the first stringed instrument you heard. And now we're moving to a different stringed instrument from India. Does anyone know the name of this amazing creation here? Someone I haven't called on in the back over there. A sitar. Excellent. This is the sitar. Quite large. How many strings, Eric?
27.
27 strings. And only 10 fingers. All right, so let's move to our next book. This one's called A Taste of Honey. Once upon a time, in a village in the countryside, there lived a woman who had the most delicious honey you've ever tasted. Her name was Kamala. Kamala lived with her father and kept beehives in their tiny backyard. Kamala collected honey from her hives to sell at the market, but business was slow, and before long, she and father were struggling to get by. She knew she had to do something, So when she heard that the king's son was getting married and all the villagers were invited to the party, she got an idea.
The royal advisor bought some of my honey the other day, and word has it the king loved it. So I'll go to the reception and ask His Majesty for help. After all, everyone knows it's bad luck to refuse a request at a wedding.
By the time Kamala reached the front of the long line of people waiting to chat up the king, His Excellency seemed tired and grumpy. But Kamala didn't let that stop her.
Your Majesty, I'm the humble beekeeper whose honey you enjoyed so much. But sales are down, and my father and I are in trouble. Can you help us?
The king glanced down the lengthy line and sighed.
Well, they say it's bad luck to refuse a request at a wedding. I tell you what, I own some land at the edge of town that I have no use for. If you plant it, sell the harvest, you may keep half of the gold coins you make.
Kamala was thrilled and thanked the king. The next morning, Kamala and father journeyed to the edge of town to check out the king's land. Kamala had heard this desolate area attracted thieves and robbers. But she was so excited about her deal with the king that she had a smile on her face the whole trip, until she reached her destination.
Oh no! This land is a mess of sticks and weeds and dirt. We'd need a team of horses to plow it, and we could never afford that.
Kamala furrowed her brow and tapped her chin as the wheels in her mind began to turn.
I tried relying on the king to solve my troubles, and obviously that wasn't the answer. I'll have to come up with something on my own.
Looking around, Kamala spotted 2 long sticks on the ground. Quick as a wink, she snatched up the sticks, handed one to father, and told him to do exactly as she did. Kamala made an anxious face. Father did too. Kamala glanced nervously over her shoulder. Father did too. Then Kamala began walking around the field, poking at the ground with her stick. Father was confused, but he did too.
Kamala, can you tell me what we're doing?
Trust me on this one, Father. I have a plan.
Now remember, Kamala had heard that thieves hung out around these parts. And sure enough, 7 thieves were hiding in a thicket nearby. And just as Kamala hoped, her and her dad's odd behavior had caught the greedy swindler's attention.
What's going on over there?
Those people have been walking around that field for hours.
They're poking the ground with those sticks.
It's pretty weird.
It sure is.
Hey, boss. What do you think?
They keep glancing over their shoulders. Maybe they have something to hide, something valuable. I'll go see.
The head thief sauntered over to Kamala and her dad. Though the rascal was burning with curiosity, he tried to act casual.
Hey there, folks. Hope you don't mind me asking, but, what's with the sticks?
If I tell you what we're doing, do you promise not to tell a soul?
I promise.
Kamala glanced to the right and left like she was checking to make sure nobody else was listening.
Well, the king said we should plant this plot of land. Rumor has it, there's gold in it. We've been using these sticks to dig for treasure, but we have to head home now.
Gold? The leader of the thieves took Kamala's bait. As soon as Kamala and her father walked away, the excited fellow rushed back to the thicket to share the news. The 7 thieves immediately grabbed sticks and began turning up every single inch of earth. They dug all day, but they didn't find any gold. Not one coin. The next day, Kamala returned to the plot of land with a big bag of seeds.
Yesterday, this place was a mess. Now it looks like it's been plowed 7 times over. Thank you, thieves.
Kamala began walking up and down the field, planting seeds in the earth. Suddenly, she heard a voice behind her.
You lied to me. You said there was gold hidden in this land.
Did I lie? Or is it you who lied? Didn't you promise you'd keep my secret? Look how many friends you've brought with you.
The head thief knew Kamala was right, but he still gritted his teeth and clenched his fists as he and his crew stomped away.
This isn't the last you've heard from us. That gold will be ours.
Oh, you'll have your gold. Just not the kind you think.
All summer long, Kamala weeded and watered the king's land. In the fall, Father helped her harvest the crops and take them to market. The fruits and vegetables were so bountiful and beautiful, everyone wanted to buy them. Kamala put half the gold coins into a bag for the king. She brought the other bag home and buried it under an apple tree in her front yard. Kamala had a sneaking suspicion she had not seen the last of the 7 thieves. That night, as a full moon rose, Kamala glanced out her window. Sure enough, she spotted the 7 thieves hiding in the bushes near the apple tree. This was the moment she'd been waiting for. In an extra loud voice, she called out to her father,
Father, can you believe how much gold we brought home today?
I've never seen so much gold in my life. I hope you put it somewhere safe.
Don't worry. I hung the gold in a bag high up in the branches of the apple tree. Nobody will look for it there.
When it seemed that Kamala and Father had gone to sleep, the robbers tiptoed out from the bushes and peered up the apple tree.
Shh! Quiet.
The leader of the thieves jabbed his finger toward the top branches.
There's the bag of gold. I'll climb up and bring it down.
The head thief really did think he saw a big, bulky bag of gold, so he shimmied up the tree trunk. But when he reached the very top,
Eek! Ouch! Ow!
he discovered the bag was actually one of Kamala's beehives, dripping with golden honey. Kamala's bees buzzed all over the thieves' not-so-fearless leader. He tried to slap the insects away, but he only smeared himself with golden honey. And down on the ground, the other thieves thought he was doing something else entirely.
Hey, is he grabbing the gold?
And shoveling it into his pockets?
It sure looks like it.
He's stealing from us.
What a thief!
The leader heard the chatter below.
No, I swear, you got it all wrong.
But the other thieves were not convinced. One by one, they clambered to the top of the tree, intent on getting the gold. And one by one, they were swarmed by Kamala's bees. Eek!
Yow!
Ow! Oh!
Yeah.
Oh! By the time the last thief got to the top, can you guess what happened? The branch holding all 7 thieves broke with a snap, and every one of them came tumbling down, along with the beehive. Meanwhile, Kamala and her father weren't asleep at all. They had been wide awake the entire time. Watching from the window, they weren't sure what was louder, the buzzing of the bees or the hoots and hollers from the thieves as they stampeded away, dripping with gold. Golden honey, that is.
What did I tell you? You wanted gold? Now you've got it.
Soon after her adventure with the thieves, Kamala's business took off. Turns out the grouchy king had recommended her sweet golden honey to everyone he knew. But even though Kamala was now prospering, the money isn't what made her feel rich. She had learned the importance of using her smarts and relying on herself to solve problems. And that sweet lesson was worth all the gold in the world. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, you may have noticed on the slides, we may have breezed past the intro pages for each story. There are so many things in this book beyond the story itself. In The Tale of the Unwelcome Guest and A Taste of Honey, there's a great intro page, which is kind of like the introduction I do in all the podcast episodes where I talk about where the story comes from. You can read background information. And at the end of the book, just because the story is done, it doesn't mean the circle round experience is over. On the podcast, I'll always say, now it's your turn, and ask you to do a craft or an activity or have a discussion with someone in your life. The books do the exact same thing. There are pages and pages and pages of games, art projects, activities, conversation starters, things inspired by the story that will keep you having fun all summer long. So that just about does it. I'm eager to meet fans and sign some books, so I think I'm just going to sign off and say I'm Rebecca Sheir. Thanks for circling around with us.
Okay, don't go anywhere just yet. Before they take off, let's give just one more really warm round of applause for Rebecca and Eric. That was so fun. That was amazing. We've got a couple, news updates before you head out and before you get a chance to meet them and get your book signed. So sit tight for 1 minute. So out in the lobby, we will have lots of Circle Round merchandise for you to take home, as well as free coloring pages from the books. Like I said, you can pick up your copy of these books from our partners, Brookline Booksmith. Rebecca and Eric will be signing copies. We've got the selfie station going. You can put on sunglasses and hats and take pictures of you and your family and your friends. Be sure to share your pictures with us on social using the hashtag CircleRoundBooks. And lucky for all of us Circle Round superfans, this party is just getting started. This is the beginning. So when you get home, be sure to visit wbur.org/circleround to order books for all of your friends. They make really great gifts. And there's also more details about how to see Rebecca and Eric on tour this summer, hosting unique storytelling events with live music and activities for kids all over the Northeast. They might even be coming to your town. Let's shout it out for a sec. Where did you all come from this morning? Let's just hear it right now. Love it. Yeah. Wow, I heard what? Okay, so on July 20th, they're going to Portland, Maine to visit Print, a bookstore. Anyone live in Portland? What? Okay. July 23rd, Shaker Mill Books in West Stockbridge, Massachusetts. Anyone living out there? Okay, this is going well. July 30th, they're going to be at the Eric Carle Museum in Amherst, Mass. Anyone from Amherst? Fantastic. August 13th, Books Are Magic in Brooklyn, New York, if you want to take a little trip to Brooklyn. On August 20th, they will also be in Plainville, Massachusetts at An Unlikely Story. Is that anyone's home bookstore? Excellent. Okay, we got some representation. So one more thing, we will also be doing a live taping of 3 new Circle Round episodes featuring an all-star cast and members of the Boston Symphony Orchestra out at Tanglewood in the Berkshires on Saturday, August 27th. So you're going to want to mark your calendars right now. We'll be sharing more details about that very soon, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for being an amazing audience and for coming to our Circle Round Book Launch Party. We hope to see you again soon. Thanks.